US at the moment, and the skydiver that I did was actually in Dallas, Texas. So it sort of takes me back a few years back when I did that, and yeah, so it's really good to see us exploring those ideas. Is it a case when you've spoken to those people about their fears, about what's holding them back? Are they digging deep enough, Tony? Are they getting out to the core about what's going on, why they're not doing things? What is it about these people? What is it about, I guess, even us, to a certain extent, there's issues that we're not getting through ourselves on a constant basis. They're probably not as dramatic as some people, that they're not actually living their purpose. I feel like we're both living our purpose in what we do is, maybe we're not taking those little bits of steps. It's, I guess, those people that going in that course that you're doing, that they've got to, really dive deep down to get those big issues really sorted.
So you've touched on the word purpose, and that's how you make change. So if you think about how do people try to make change, how do people try and make change at New Year's Eve? What do? Let's take weight loss, for example. They buy some new shoes, they buy some activewear, they join a gym, but what they haven't done is they haven't understood why is it that I want to go and do the gym and do the activewear and do the exercise in the first place, and what is that going to mean for me? So
and how you're going to feel.
Reverse engineer it. 100%, that's part of it, right? So it's about starting with the purpose, starting with why is that important to me, and what is it going to mean for me internally? Not necessarily the aesthetics, not necessarily how I'm looking from the outside, but internally, what's that going to do for me? And you're right, we don't spend enough time reflecting. I say it week in, week out. Reflect. You have to reflect on where you're at. You have to constantly look at what you're doing, how you're doing things. Most of the time, we operate probably 90% of our life on our subconscious. That is, we're not aware we're doing it. So in order to elevate that consciousness, in order to go from subconscious to conscious, you have to reflect at the end of the day, how did I behave? How did I act? What were the things that I was proud of? What were the things that I could improve on? Was I stopping and waiting at that particular moment? Did I have a fearful moment? Was I procrastinating? Did I have some doubt, lack of self-belief, whatever it might be? But the only way that you're going to dig into it is by digging into it, and by reflecting and taking the time to understand how am I acting, as opposed to we just constantly keep trying to move forward and force our way forward, but we're not actually going back to changing at the root cause level.
Absolutely. And Mukul says, good morning. Tony Gallagher says, actually, life mastery pole climb. So that's one, a little bit of one with Tony Robbins in terms of scaling a height and doing that leap of faith jump. So that's a lot of people who go to the Life Mastery in Fiji, I believe, do that. Tony also says, good morning. We've got quite a few others. Mum's joined, as always, proud supporter, Jason, and a few others. Tim's come on as well. So, Tony, I guess we're talking about some of these stuff that's going on personally within individuals, and what, maybe they're looking to get outside in terms of property development, outside their 9-to-5 jobs, and look for something different, and maybe go towards a purpose for themselves. But let's talk about in terms of self-awareness within business. You and I both run businesses, and we've got to, constantly reflect on what's going on, how we move forward. Obviously, use our team of people behind us. And it was interesting for me being in Las Vegas at a property tech event and seeing a lot of new startups coming into play. Some of the players that have been around for a while. There's some of that maybe not so successful, and others that are really successful. And seeing the differences in those. Tony, I might actually start off with you in regards to this. What you're seeing in terms of self-awareness and people, the lack of self-awareness out of business owners and thinking they've got the best idea, but the implementation of it's not there, or they're lacking in certain areas.
Yeah, well, a great way to understand self-awareness is to ask yourself, what is it that you're prepared to let go of? So you have a goal of I want to get $1 million, I want to get 1,000 customers, I want to do all these wonderful things. The other question to ask is, what am I prepared to let go of in order to make that happen? So I talk about your life, your business is currently a whole. That is one full circle. And in order to put new stuff in, that is a new business venture, a new whatever, things have to come out. Right? Things have to come out. You can't expect to have a different outcome if you're doing the exactly same things. That's called insanity, right? And so whether that's from an individual point of view, whether it's it's just a quiet rant today, but whether it's from an individual point of view or from a business point of view, you have to ask yourself, what is my why? 3 questions. 3. What is my why? What is my goal? And what am I prepared to let go of? And you need to focus on those three questions, because it's not good enough just to have the goal side of things. You have to then ask yourself, what am I prepared to let go of in order to get that particular
Yeah,
goal?
absolutely. And Jason has just shared our video with a whole bunch of business groups on Facebook, which is great. Thank you very much, and I appreciate that,
Sure.
Jason. He's doing some awesome work in the IT space. Someone that has a lot of knowledge, skills, and experience, and just keeps putting himself out there in terms of work he does, doing some really good work. So a big shout out to Jason there. I also want to sort of reflect with it when it comes to, you know, a startup company. So a lot of these people that are in their 9-to-5 jobs or looking to do property development or property buying, whatever they might be doing, but there's people here in Las Vegas that have come all around the world. Actually, a whole bunch of Australians. I think they had about 80 Australians here. And I'm talking about around the country.
Yeah, wow.
So Perth, Tasmania. Obviously, I'm from Sydney. We had Queenslanders there. A couple of real estate agents in Ipswich, actually. 2 competing real estate agents.
Yeah, I saw the photo.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Pitch their businesses. And I actually asked one of them, just like, how confident are you in your pitch? And they kind of these 2 business partners looked at each other and was like, yeah, we probably need to work on it. So, you know, that aside, they're here for the week to pitch their businesses, and they are yet to have a really defined pitch in place that they can sell it to other people on. You know, people have got your attention for about 25, maybe 30 seconds, and you better deliver some gold in that time. So if you can't even pitch your business, you know, that's why be here? Why get started in that line?
Yeah, sure.
What, you know, any thoughts that you want to share around that? Cheryl?
Well, the key to that is to reverse engineer things. Good morning, Cheryl. Great to see you over the weekend. It was interesting, actually, Luke. Just quickly, I met a whole lot of Sydney-siders over the weekend that I've only seen through Facebook or through Zoom calls. So it was amazing. Quite a thrill for me, actually, and a privilege to meet them all in person. So what I'm saying is that in regards to that pitch scenario, it's all about reverse engineer. So reverse engineer being, if you were having someone pitch to you, what would you want them to pitch? How would you want them to pitch? You don't want people to prattle on for 5-10 minutes and not even get to the punchline. It's the elevator pitch. It's the short, sharp, punchy. What's the key message? So it's like anything. You need to practice it, refine it, you know, before you go and deliver it. Don't just stand there, go cold and hope like crazy that it works, because you're going to get the outcomes that you've put into it. If you put very little into it, you're going to get very little out of it. But if you take the time, practice, and no different for me, right? So I do a lot of speaking in front of public. What people don't realise is that I spend an awful lot of time behind the scenes preparing, practicing, focusing on different keywords, focusing on, you know, accentuating certain parts of what I'm trying to say, so on and so forth. It takes work and effort. What people see is, you know, me standing on stage for 30 or 40 minutes delivering a keynote, but what they don't see is all the stuff that goes on behind the scenes.
Absolutely. How does it feel, Tony, in terms of doing the Facebook and being out there on Facebook all the time, and people actually coming up to you in person and saying about, you know, they kind of know you already from all the videos and all the content that you do?
So I had a lady come and take a photo with me, so she listened to the presentation.
Here we go.
No.
Did she ask for a signature? Did she ask? Can you sign my shirt,
she just got
Tony?
she just got the.
That's Shane Warne, mate. Shane Warne.
Just got the selfie. So that was fine. But yeah, plenty of people come up to me and said, you know, yeah, I feel like I know you and I listen to you and all those sorts of things. And it's amazing. And like I said, you know, there's also people that I've been, you know, dealing with one-on-one, whether it be Cheryl, whether it be Davina, and you know, to meet them in the person was quite special. In the flesh was quite special as well. But yeah, no, it's you know, the more that I put myself out there, the more that people start to recognise me. And as I said, I do it because I want to make an impact. I want to help people. I want to help them move forward, and that's the sole reason that I do it. And a lot of people will like what I do. A lot of people won't like what I do. But either way, you know, that's what I'm going to keep doing.
Cheryl says, "Hanging out with the stars." Absolutely, this is where it's at right here.